Hey guys, and what's up? Alright, we got a little orangey amp today. This is the Orange Crush 10. So it's a 10 watt amp, 6-inch speaker. Physically, there's my hand. So she's not a very big amp, but she does pack a bit of a wallop. Now, I've already tried this amp out with my Gibson Les Paul Studio, and it has 57 classic humbuckers in it. So I'm going to say this right now up front. If you have any guitar that has 57 classics in it, don't touch this amp because it sounds horrible. Okay? I really do not care for the sound of it, even on clean. It's just ugh. Okay? So anyways, we're going to start with my Strat. And it's got basically 60s era wound, noiseless, Alnico Force, I believe it is, I put in this thing. Anyways, way better than the stock ones. But anyhow, this Strat is just wonderful on my Orange 35 RT. I love it. So we'll see what it's like on this amp. And we're going to go through some different settings, obviously. And we're going to work our way through clean and dirty stuff. Now it has two gain controls and a master volume, bass, mid, treble, headphone jack, and input. It does not have an auxiliary in, so you can, play along with your tunes. So you're kind of on your own for that one. But it's a small little practice amp. It's great for, I would probably say, anybody, to be honest. If you're going to use it in a small area, it's not going to be an amp that you can use for gigging. Even mic'd up, I wouldn't recommend it. Just because it will get a little shrilly at the higher volumes. So anyways, let's get on with this and then you guys can decide. Now, I'm recording this on my camcorder. I'm not micing it up. There's very few videos, and I think I found like 4, and they all sucked except for one. And so I was kind of still hemming and hawing about even buying this myself. And I thought, well, the price ain't bad, so I paid $50 for it on Marketplace, and the thing doesn't even have a mark on it. And it turns out I actually know the guy that I bought it from. It took us a few emails to figure it out, but he's like, I know you. You know me. It's like, oh yeah! So anyways, that's kind of cool. You don't run into that very often. So anyhow, let's start this out. We're going to go right from the bridge all the way up. I've got a 5-way switch on my Strat, so... with the two gains at 9 and the master at 1 o'clock. So single coil pickups do not have a lot of output. This is the bridge in the middle. Now just the middle. Now you can shape the EQ, and it is pretty sensitive. So if we turn the high end down a bit to 3 or to 9 o'clock. So it does put out a lot of treble. Okay, so let's bring the gains both up at 11. I'm going to leave the master at 1 o'clock. So let's see what kind of distortion we can get out of this thing. Let's bring the gains both at 3 o'clock. And we're going to go 10 o'clock on the dial on the master. Get some bite in this thing. You hear that hollow sound? That's really driving the gains up. So gain number 2 is maxed. Let's try that the other way. Okay, both gains at 12. Let's bring the master up at 3. So, let's try. Let's max out gain number 1. We'll put gain number 2 at 1 o'clock. And the master at 12. So, master at 9, both gains are at 1 o'clock. Okay, that's enough of this guitar. So we're going to actually pull out my Epiphone Les Paul Special 2. One that I just recently acquired. It's a humbucker guitar. And we're going to see what it's like. So I'm just going to shut the film off right now. Go tune up the Epiphone, get it hooked up, and dial in the first clean setting. We'll come back and we'll go through that guitar and see what we got for a difference. Alright guys, we're back with the Les Paul Special 2 guitar. Now this has humbuckers in it. They're the originals, so if you want to know what humbuckers are actually in this thing, just go to Epiphone's website, look up the Les Paul Special 2, and you'll find out what humbuckers are in this thing. Anyway, so there's no coil split in here. I've only got one volume and one treble control and a 3-way switch. That's it. It's a basic Les Paul. So I've set all the dials here. They're all going to be at 12 o'clock for bass, mid, treble, of course. Masters at 9, and both gains are each at 9. So let's see what we get. So both, middle position. I'm totally impressed right now with the Les Paul Special 2 with this amp. That is really good. My Les Paul Studio, which is like, you know, way more expensive with those 57 Classics in it too. I mean, the 57 Classics, I hated them. They just sucked on this amp. You know, these are really nice. Okay, so let's bring our master right to 12 o'clock, and we'll leave the gains alone. It's a little on the trebly side there. Let's go to the middle. Back the tone control all the way on the guitar. I just brought the tone up just a hair. Just down a little bit. Okay, that's all right. Now let's bring the master down, and we're going to bring these both gain controls right to the top. So our master is gains are right to the top. Shaggy. Let's bring those just back a little bit. Alright, so the gains are at 3, and the master is about 930. back the gains off a little. So we're about 2 o'clock on the gain. Right to the neck. So let's put these gains at about 10 o'clock. Master at noon. All right, 3 o'clock on the master. Position. Neck. All right. I don't think we need to go much further with that. Yeah, I think overall, I mean, it's not a bad little practice amp. You can push this thing like pretty hard. We're not going to crank it full blast in here. There's absolutely no point to that. I do want to do a quick little test though with my Epiphone Les Paul Custom Pro, just to see where things are at here. Wow, this thing stays an amazing tune. Now this thing has got the stock pickups in it. I haven't changed any settings for heights on the pickups either. So anyway, let's bring that master right up to 12 o'clock. Pickups. Okay, I think on the Epiphone Custom Pro, this is going to be a really good amp as well. Now, I know some of you are like, oh, we're not going to take his word for it, how crappy the 57 sounded. So, I'm going to quickly play my Les Paul Studio here with the 57 Classics. And you can get the idea of, like, I don't like the sound of it anyways. But everybody has their idea and opinions on what they like. video is not bad. It's actually pretty decent. So let's put some crunch into this. Let's put these right at 3 o'clock. Actually, you know what? Let's push this a little bit. Gains are well, almost full tilt, and our master is at 8. That's like way too for my taste. So let's split the coil. A little cleaner. Okay, next split. Neck is a humbucker. Okay, so if you didn't believe me at the beginning of this video that these pickups, the 57 Classics, kind of suck with this amp, well, there's your answer. For me, and to me, they suck. However, the Les Paul Custom Pro does really good. The Apophone Special 2 does amazingly well with its pickups. And of course, the Strat, overall, does a really good job. Okay? So as a bedroom practice amp, it's not a bad little amp. Now, different pickups are going to sound different, and I only have so many guitars in my arsenal to go through here. So you'll have to make your own judgment call. So if you do find one of these amps that are used, and you're looking at buying it, bring your guitar and try it out at the person's place. And I cannot stress out enough to bring your own favorite go-to acts with you, even into a music store. Always bring your favorite guitar when you're looking at an amp, because your guitar has to get along with the amp. And not all amps are going to like all pickups that are out there, obviously. Okay? I mean, we have 2 Les Pauls, both by Epiphone, that do great. And we have our Strat that's great. Okay? Anyways, so I think it's definitely worth the $50 that I paid for it, and it does do a really decent job. Once you get up into running the gain controls really high for a lot of that distortion fuzz, I think it just goes into total overdrive mentalness. Even my Orange 35 RT has some of those characteristics, although it's a lot cleaner at the higher gain levels, and it has an actual separate dirty channel and a separate clean. So it's a lot more controllable than this. This is kind of a weird one because you got to mess with 3 knobs to do all your shaping of your sound. Okay, I think though on clean, it does well on pretty much anything. Okay, I think pretty much any guitar would be fine for clean. The dirty is going to be the deciding factor. Now, I'm probably going to end up doing a video as well with this on my Boss GT100 pedal board, and we'll just go through some of its distortion effects. So what I'll do is I'll set the channel up completely clean as I can get it, and at a decent volume level where it's not breaking up. And then we're going to throw some distortion at it, an acoustic simulator at it, and a few other effects, just to see how well this thing actually takes to a pedal board, or pedals, okay? Because there really isn't a whole lot different between a bunch of individual pedals versus a pedal board. Not much anyways. So it'll give you a good rounded basis on that. But as far as just as is, just the way you see it here, and demoing it, because most beginners are not going to have a pedal board and a whack load of pedals either. Okay? So if you're thinking, oh, I'm a beginner, I'm looking for a decent used amp, I need something that's not, you know, too expensive or too garbagey even, then look at an Orange amp. I mean, the Orange amps are fantastic amps. Even this one is really, really good. But like I said, it's not going to work with all pickups out there, especially on the built-in gain for the dirty stuff. I find that pretty much any amp on the market with the exception, of course, of the Boss Katana because it's a total breed of its own. But any other amps that are out there, like your Marshalls, your Fenders, your Mesa Boogies, your Trainers, the list goes on. Any of those amps that have a dirty channel, I think the dirty channel should actually be taken out and thrown in the garbage can because no manufacturer seems to be able to do a real good job with a dirty channel. They're just not quite, you know, I mean, the majority of people are not going to like, right? We're a small amount of crowd. They're not going to complain. Especially beginners won't complain about dirty channel because they're like, I got distortion, yeah! You know, they don't care because they have no idea what sound is yet, right? So they'll be fine. But I think definitely the $50 I paid for it, it's more than worth the $50, you know. And the guy had wanted 60, but we settled on 50, and that was fine for me. I was good with that. And it is in absolute cherry bomb condition. So now I'm not keeping this amp, in case any of you are wondering. I'm going to be doing my videos with it, and then it's going to be rehomed. But I wanted to put some exposure on this amp on the internet because there really isn't anything, to be honest. I mean, what is there? There's like maybe one really good video, and the rest of them really suck bad. And I was just really thoroughly not impressed. But having it in your own possession is a different thing with your own guitars, and that's an important thing. Now, based on my guitar collection, and we've put all my electrics through it, okay, well, except for one because I'm waiting for a replacement Telecaster, but from what we've put through it and what we've done with it, the overall, okay, I would probably say this amp deserves 4 out of 5. It's not perfect, and I don't really care for the distortion on any of it. Even getting into the crunch side of things, it's not really majorly that great, okay, on that side of the fence. For clean, yes, it is really good on clean. You know, I have no qualms with the clean side of this. But when you start getting it up there, you know, and breaking up that speaker with some distortion, it starts to lose favor for me. That's where I'm personally putting it. You know, like I said, everybody's opinions vary. I don't know what it sold for brand new, but I know that there was one on Reverb about, well, the listing was about 5 years old. And it was a guy in Texas that sold it, and it went for about $130 some Canadian. And I don't think that this amp would have been even worth that new. I mean, it's obviously going to cost more than that new, I'm sure, but I don't think it's even worth that new price, to be honest. Even for a beginner grade amp, it's a good amp, but it's what are you getting for your money here? You're getting an awesome clean channel amp that should have some pedals on it. And we're going to see how well it takes to a pedal board and see how it does. But it is that breakup on the distortion side with humbuckers and single coils. It's really just not the most impressive thing. You know, so we do have to seriously look at that factor when we're looking at amps. You know, I mean, there are a lot of amps out there with some halfway pleasing distortion. You know, and I've owned a lot of amps, guys, like tons of amps over the years. Plus, I've played on tons of amps that I've never even owned, you know. Yeah, so I've definitely, I'm pretty sure I got a good idea when it comes to sound and what's decent and what's not. And this thing, once it starts to really break up, that's when it loses a lot of its flavor. Prior to that, a bit of breakup and the clean, we're good. You know, I think it's great. But if you're looking for a practice amp for your small room or wherever, it's a great thing for that. Don't even think about trying to gig with this thing, even miking up, because it's going to be horrifying. You know, get a real setup together if you're going to gig, you know. I wouldn't even play this thing in church. It's even way too small for our church. Okay, where I attend. It just doesn't have the punch, you know. I mean, it's loud. It can compete with an acoustic drum kit, I'm sure, because of the volume it can produce and the dB level, but it's so shrilly up in the high end. It's just, ugh, you know. So anyways, that's my opinion. That's my thoughts and feelings. You know, and that's where I'm pretty much at with it. So let me know what you guys think, and if you have experience with this Orange Crush 10, let me know what guitars you had that you put through it and what your thoughts were on clean versus dirty versus a lot of mega dirty, because I'd be curious to hear your results as well. But anyways, that's it, at least for this video. We'll catch you on the next video with this amp with our Boss GT100 pedal board and see how well it fares. Now with that one, I will do 2 guitars, and the 2 guitars that I'm going to choose, I'll tell you right now, are going to be my Strat and my Epiphone Les Paul Special 2, because they do the very best with this amp out of all 4. So those will be the ones that we'll use with the pedal board. Anyways, there we go. So catch you on the next one. Thanks.